watch a newspaper review on Sky every night, and they have all those insane headlines, don't they?
Right, me and Nicholas have got kind of throwing cans at each other, and as always, I failed to bring order. So we had Bruce, whatever he's on about, chomping through the start of the music. So anyway, good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 68 of the Malton podcast. It's the 28th of April. It's a very, very nice spring evening, certainly down here in Staffordshire, gentlemen. I know I've been in Yorkshire myself this weekend, so I'm guessing it's still very, very warm and pleasant.
It is wonderful.
Yeah,
really.
it's about 3 degrees up here north. Yeah, so
3 degrees.
That's warm. That's warm for us up in north.
Yeah, it's a lovely evening, and I was in London at lunchtime. It was scorcher down there. It was horrendous. I've had to buy a cap for sitting outside now while I have my lunch. I don't get bloody skin cancer. It's bonkers.
Is it an engine driver's cap, bros?
No, it's one from years ago from the Titanic exhibition.
Oh.
Nicholas looks like he's put a bucket full of some dark looking brew. So I will be very good this week and asking Nicholas, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, as you say, Mike, you came up and we had a discussion about Guinness, didn't we? And the fact that when Guinness was in short supply before Christmas, we reckoned a lot of the brewers or breweries, the independents, thought, oh, we could make a killing here. Some of them did, but once again, it was mainly the bigger brands of stout that benefited, people like Murphy's and stuff like that. Because we've seen a plethora of stouts in local pubs over the last few weeks, and it seems that the breweries are now trying to get rid of this stout, and nobody wants to drink it. And I think the biggest problem with that is because people who drink Guinness won't try or drink anything else. Because a proper stout has got some flavour and taste to it, whereas Guinness is cold and it's easy to drink. So I'll say I think there's a plethora of stouts. So I don't have any stouts in the fridge, but I do have one of my favourite dark milds, which is Rudgate's Ruby Mild. It's a deceptive one because for a mild, it's quite strong. But because it's a classic traditional type of beer, I thought I'd put it in my World War II 10-sided pint glass, which I acquired, I think it was last year. And it does taste good in a pint glass. I think they call them a lantern glass, because it looks like one of the old-fashioned lanterns with the sides on it. So, Rudgate Ruby Mild. I'm
going to go complete opposite. You see in my 21st century poser craft glass, which looks like a dwarf wine glass. I'm actually drinking tonight. I don't know why. I just thought I fancy one. So I've gone, again, very off left centre. So I'm actually drinking an Oakles Nectar, which is Oakles of the Isle of Man. A New World IPA. So my next door neighbour went off to the Isle of Man a couple of weeks ago, and in fact I did them a favour because their taxi hadn't turned up and they were going to miss their coach, so I zipped them down early one morning to get them on the coach, and there's a little bit of thank you. Brought me back some beer. We did have a little bit of a chat about Ockles or Oakles, and I think like me he'd call it Ockles and I'd call it Ockles. I'm sure I've been in the Isle of Man, but apparently it's Oakles, he was told. So it's very nice. Yeah, I've not seen them. Again, like most breweries, they're quite a traditional brewery, but this is their Falcon collection, it says. So a bit crafty. Anyway, back to this evening.
They've sold out. Haven't they sold out to somebody though? I think somebody else owns them now.
No, I don't think so. I think they bought somebody else out. I'll have a look when we get into
have a
chat.
Google.
It's not been long since we were last on together. And what we said in the last episode was we need to catch up with Bruce's travels. So I've called this one Ales on Rails because quite most of it is going to be Bruce's treks up and down the country. And indeed, we're planning a couple. The Northern Rail vouchers have just gone back out into regional papers this morning. So you can get your £10 unlimited travel per day, or is it £15 or something for the weekend, isn't it? Or a bit more than that, isn't it?
£17.50, I think, in it.
£17.50 for the weekend. As always, I don't bother buying the papers. Just get an online version, screenshot it, and nobody's ever questioned me when I've been. So it saves even more money.
Anyway, you wait for it. Wait for it.
And there was also, I think Bruce did share with me, and I picked it myself. There was an article in the Telegraph I think 2 weekends ago, where suddenly drinking beer on railway stations is really trendy, despite the real ale trail's been around for probably 30 years now. Anyway, so there's going to be a little bit of an ale theme, but we'll do a little bit of kind of background first of all, a little bit of beer news, and quite a, don't know. A bit of an interesting one. I think we did raise it maybe in our last podcast, but it's something that's generate a little bit of discussion, which we'll come on to, and which will also include one of our favourites, the wonderful Wetherspoons. As Nick mentioned, we managed to get together. Well, me and Nick have managed to get together for a couple of shortish beer drinkings. I was in the wonderful York a week or so ago, but unfortunately Bruce was off down to London. So I had a bit of a very warm solo after New York. Come back to that in a minute. So beer news, gents. I don't know if you picked this one up. This was in one of a couple of papers over the weekend about if you go on the new Heineken, if you go on the Heineken beer brewery tour in Amsterdam, their latest, whatever it's going to be, is they're piloting this thing called the Heineken for You. And basically, this kind of whatever it is machine, you can mix your own Heineken beer. So you go up to this thing. You can decide first of all whether you want Heineken Silver, Heineken Dry, or Heineken Smooth. You can then decide whether you want it double hopped, super dry, or super smooth. And then if you really want to, you can go for a nitro top, which gives it a 2-inch foamy head, like a la Guinness. So there was some debate whether this is the future of beer, in that you brew one basic, horrible whatever bland lager, but then you can then customize it a bit like a cocktail. And then apparently there are cocktails as well that they also have another one of these stands where you can mix like Aperols with Heineken and come up with kind of beery cocktails. So don't know what you think about that, gents.
Well, I suppose it's less people are drinking out. They need to do something. I mean, apparently, especially amongst young people, drinking's declining massively, isn't it? I must say, I was quite shocked. I was in Wetherspoons in York yesterday with some friends, and they're going about to go to Wetherspoons, and I was quite shocked, really, how few young
sensible, intelligent people
on a Sunday afternoon. Yes, I suppose this is the type of stuff that's going to be the future, isn't it? It does sound quite fun. I did the Heineken tour a few years ago. This wasn't there then. I mean, it's a shadow of what it used to be, the tour when the original brewery was there. But yeah, I think this could work out quite well. I mean, you have to say, it does sound quite fun, doesn't it? I'd enjoy mucking about on that.
I'm assuming these are free because everything in the studio in the brewery too is normally free, isn't it? Or it's within your cost. I mean, it used to be. I think didn't it used to be free in the good old days, Bruce?
Me and I went when I was very young with Andrew, and we made a €3 donation to equivalent, a very small donation to UNICEF. I think it's for 18 quid now. It's not really worth it.
Yeah.
Very fairgroundy and lots of people. So no.
Okay, well, Bruce kicked us off. He's mentioned Wetherspoons. That's twice already in the podcast. So again, and I think we have all discussed this personally together. But from the 9th of April, there's a big announcement, both made by Wetherspoons and at Thornbridge, in that the majority of Wetherspoon pubs were going to start stocking Jaipur, that at once very beer nirvana, the first real American pale ale brewed in the UK. And again, remember, it was brewed on the original Malton brewery kit when they sold up. They actually sold the kit to Thornbridge Hall Brewery, which is where Jaipur started. Jaipur because the owner of Thornbridge and his wife got married in Jaipur. And they wanted to create a beer that was a bit different and the kind of subtle shades, apparently, of Jaipur, which there you go. First brewed in 2005, so it is its 20th year this year. So I did wonder whether there's something there to kind of go alongside it. But it felt like, I don't know, quite a big leap for Thornbridge, really. And we've talked a little bit about, we've had a discussion about my local Titanic brewery here in Staffordshire, which obviously now their plum porter is the stout doom bar of the world. And I don't know what people feel about Jaipur. I've had one pint of it in the Wetherspoons, which I'll show you shortly. And
it looked like a good pint.
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, and obviously, it's 5.8% Wetherspoons, Jaipur. So it normally is in that premium kind of band, £5 a pint-ish. Thornbridge suggests that it is something to do with their 20th anniversary in that they want to celebrate it. They also say that they've got a long-standing relationship with J.D. Wetherspoon, Although I've got to say, you don't often see Thornbridge beers in Wetherspoons. You see the occasional, what's the lagery one, Mountain, what's it? You sometimes see that in there. And our mission has always been to make Jaipur available to anyone who wants to drink it. This national listing, Wetherspoons, help us do that.
Ian. Oh, are you back?
I'm back. So I was just going through those quotes there about maybe the justification that Thornbridge were giving us. So I'm not quite sure. It may be that thing about scale, and as we've talked about before, breweries have to scale up, and if you get to a certain point, it almost becomes you start losing money because the tax you pay. This, I guess, makes it a massive thing. Nick, I think when me and you were last in the brewery, ironically, they were moaning about Tesco's undercutting them, weren't they? Because at the time, Tesco's were doing 4 cans of Jaipur for, was it £8 for 4 cans, something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they said it was a lost leader, but it was to get the name out there. I feel that, I mean, how long ago was that, though, Mike? That was 5-6 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I think they've probably increased their production now, and I fear it's a bit like Tiller's Landlord. The quality of the product when it first came out that everybody got a love for, they're knocking the Jaipur out at such huge quantities now. This is why they could drop the price of it. And I'm afraid it isn't quite what it used to be. That's been my personal feelings the last few times I've tried a pint of it. I've not tried it in Wetherspoons yet, although I have had it in Wetherspoons before when it's been a guest on the bar. And I say, compared to what it used to be like when it first came out, when it was so distinctive, it was so floral, and obviously it was quite strong as well, very deceptive. Now it's just lacking something. Whether that's because the competitors have come in with a better product, you've got a lot of these floral citrus flavour IPAs now, and this is why it's something very unique, like Landlord was, and because there are so many other people doing something similar now, that it doesn't stand out as much. I don't know, but as I say, I suspect that it's because they are being able to knock it out in such great quantities now. They have to be able to supply the majority of Wetherspoons for one thing. It's brewing on a mass scale, and whether the quality control's been lost a little bit, I don't know. But
and quite interesting. I mean, that slide Mike's put up now, where the Tom Pudding Mike Pub in Gould, where you two visited, he said, "Oh, it paid for £1.79. That's less than pint they paid for the brewery." So he says, "We're like to order from Thornbridge again." It's a shame. And this is it really, because obviously we're in opposing camps on Wetherspoons on here really. I detest them. Nick loves them. You're kind of in the middle.
Even though Bruce has been to 2 in a week, and I've not been in Wetherspoons for about 2 weeks.
Was it through choice yesterday? I was outvoted.
No, because you were some intelligent, sensible people, Bruce. And I'm afraid you're a particular sort of person. Anyway, carry on. You're a Guinness drinker. Say no more.
The beer garden at the Wetherspoons Punch Bowl in Mickey. I've never been in before, actually. I've lived here 25 years. It must be the most depressing beer garden in the bloody country. It was appalling. But that aside,
he talked about putting a roof terrace in, hasn't he, though? This is why he's going to put a roof terrace in.
No, that was before. I think that one's dropped. But this is the dilemma, isn't it? I mean, really, you want to be a premium producer, you're doing this. I mean, remember, when his stocks get low in some of these small towns, it'll put this down to 99p. People go with the vouchers. They'll be getting a pint for 49p. It's going to be, and a save.
No, they don't sell it for less than £1, Bruce. You can't use your camera voucher on a 99 pence pint.
Absolutely, mate. It's just bonkers. It can, to me, Wetherspoons the biggest winner from this. I do think, and I don't think the Tom Pudding's reaction to this will be alone. I mean, I have to say, I must admit, I mean, when you go to the Thornbridge Pivavar pubs we have in York, the Jaipur in there is still delicious. I think it's kept its flavour better than the Landlord has, really, because even when now you go to, for the life of me, we can never get a pint Landlord like we used to. But
I agree with you there, Bruce. Yeah, he's certainly not dropped the flavour as much as Landlord has.
But we have that Thornbridge pub in York, and I have to say that Jaipur, and all the beer in there is delicious. But then again, people are thinking, "Great, what is there? £5 a pint," and go to Wetherspoons at £2.60. Yeah, I think Wetherspoons the big winner from this deal, but they're a big business.
Thornbridge aren't being forced to sell to Wetherspoons, Bruce, so they've done it for a reason, haven't they?
Oh, no, I'm saying I think they're the big winner out of this, but I do wonder whether you got one of the orders from the sort of, the distribute from the pubs, really. I can see a lot of people take the Tom Pudding's view, really. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Strange move.
Right, I'm playing around with the screen because I've just changed computers for this week and I can't get anything to bloody work. So I'm just trying to, because we lost ourselves off the video there. And I do like to see my colleagues, even if I can just see if I've frozen or not.
Have you gone from ZX Spectrum to Commodore 64.
Something like that. And I've now got a bloody the sound bar that's over my. Right, so I will try again. So I'm going to go to that one. I'm going to share that one. I've got share sound on. Right, sorry.
Well, I've starting now. There is a massive David and Goliath battle opening now, though, because of course Wetherspoons are opening in Wetherby. Wetherby, a very posh market town about 7 miles from York.
I love it.
And it's not the end, to be fair. I mean, it's a big Italian restaurant. There's an institution's closed there, and Wetherspoons are moving in there. In a funny way, and you can't blame Wetherspoons for that. The restaurant closed down, the family retired. I'm guessing in a way it'd been better for Wetherspoons. The restaurant had still been there. They opened elsewhere because everybody went for every function, whether it be their birthdays, weddings, that had gone to Spoons, then gone there. But you do look at it and think, in a town that size, on one hand, they're going into the airports, the transport hubs, the mega Spoons are coming now. Yet they're still going for these smaller places. And it's just hard to see, really. A bit like Northallerton, you go in there sometimes and think, just making money. It is bizarre, the opening. But I say that aside, Humphrey Smith has the Crown, which is a stunning pub across the road. It's been closed now, I think, about 7 years. And he's announced this week he's got someone to run it, they're refurbing it, and he wants it to open for the Wetherspoons. Which, because they obviously really firmly put the tanks on his lawn. I mean, Wetherspoon Tadcaster is Humphrey Smith country. So the Crown in Weatherby's reopening, despite, any sensible person think, how was going to compete against the Wetherspoons? But he's going to open it before the Spoons. So that's
they've put the wages, haven't they, Bruce? So we assume this is obviously the son is supposed to take over the business now. And the first thing he's done is actually increase the offer wages twice in the last 2 months to try and attract couples to take on his pubs.
This is only hearsay that the son hasn't actually taken over. Apparently, Mr. Smith is still in charge. They take over on the 31st of January. It never happened, but I say this is only what you hear. Apparently, it hasn't happened. But we've got the King's.
But somebody's having an influence there now, because I say they are now desperate and they are being proactive in trying to get the pubs open, and they're doing that by offering a higher and higher wage. Whereas before, when it was 100% Humphrey, basically it's saying that he wasn't bothered that he's had pubs closed for years. So something's changed. Something's happening.
Yeah, we've had the Long Master pub near us reopen recently.
Right, hang on. Come on, let's we'll go off this one before we get sued again. So just a couple of beery highlights for myself before we get on to Bruce's. This is, again, for those that the regular visitors, you know that one of my locals is Mellard's, which is a former ironmongers, and we were there. Was it the week last Friday? And I just took this picture because it almost felt like we're back in that first COVID lockdown. Well, not the first one, the second one. Because the first one we couldn't do anything. But remember, we had 2 wonderful springs, didn't we, in lockdown? And this pub really boomed actually over lockdown because of the beer garden, which you can see there, and they were able to do table service. And remember, we had that long stretch of weather just like this, and it had that kind of vibe that it was lovely. It was quite warm in the sun, but it just got cold. And thought they don't do table service. But this bar actually kept table service on, and they still reckon that they made more money when they had table service, which is interesting. The people were probably drinking more because they brought it to you. Because a couple last little newsy bits really here. Really interesting how you pick this up that. In AB InBev suddenly have kind of, don't know what, they've suddenly realised that actually people do quite like traditional ales. So I don't know if you've seen them out, but they've just started to push a really big Bass marketing campaign, trying to start drinking Bass again. Despite now Bass being an absolute shadow of itself, it's not brewed in Burton anymore. It's brewed in the Salisbury, which is up near Preston brewery. But just interesting how they kind of flick and flack around it, isn't it? That they're having quite a big push for Bass Pale Ale. Interesting. And then maybe a good one for us, because we know that Ambleside is okay, but it can be a little bit of a beer desert at times, isn't it? And especially when places are busy. But the Lakes Brew Company, again, who we've kind of followed through. So these were the guys who initially, they were out at Staveley, weren't they, at the Hawkshead Brewery. And when the Liverpool Drinks Company, whatever, took them over and they made them all redundant, they went off and set up their own brewery in Keswick, or Kendal, sorry.
No, they're in Kendal.
Yeah, and they've just put a planning application in for the Giggling Goose Cafe and Opticians in Ambleside for a tap room. So that's a cracking little building. and I guess it'll make a nice little tap.
Is the
Reminiscent.
Golden Rule still open in Ambleside?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Robinson's pub.
Still a
Two
good-
Robinson's pubs tucked away up the
Yeah.
hill. One
Yes.
opens regularly because we tried to get in there. He says, "Oh, we don't open until 1 o'clock." So we went down the hill to the other one. There's one that's very popular with walkers, and the other one's better known for its food.
Golden Rule.
But so you need to know where they are really, because
Yeah.
they're not on Ambleside. Well, I suppose it does have High Street, but obviously it's dominated by In Collection and by the Ember in the White. Is it the White Hart?
Yeah,
Which they always have cask beer on, and they have I think they have the Monday night club when you get a discount. They used to do Camry discount as well.
There's no
So,
kind of crafty little bar. There's no like a bar in Windermere. There's no bar like that. Is there in Ambleside?
There's where the little house on the bridge is. There's like a little courtyard there with there's pizza and there's beers, but I've never actually been in there. It's a bit more hipster and crafty.
Yeah, that'll do well, won't it?
Yeah. Right. So
I'm trying to work out where it was though, because it looked like that might be on a back street rather than on one of the main streets.
I've got a feeling it's straight off from where you've explained that little bridge.
But if you look, it's got a very tight little double yellow line in the picture.
Yeah.
So it's not one of the big roads.
Side street.
When they do little tiny yellow lines, means that it's a little thin street normally.
Okay, just a couple of quick ones for me then. Again, a place that I have been to a couple of times, but I had a little trip to Leek a couple of Saturdays ago. Came across Weetabix beer, which I'd not seen before, which is an interesting one. A wheat IPA by the Hackney Church Brew Company. But again, a little venue in Leek. It's kind of been in and out a couple of times. The hideout, a nice little vibe inside. It's one of those kind of bars that does takeouts as well as 2 or 3 casks, and then about 10 or 11. Sorry, well, it's on the wall there, isn't it? 5. Was it a cask? Is about 3 or 4 casks, and then 6 or 7 kegs. And again, I came across Newbury, the Rural Brewing Company, who again are in Alton Towers, and apparently they brew beer now for Alton Towers as well as being their own little brewery. And it was a very, very nice beer, I've got to say. So again, anybody in Leek, it's quite a good place, Leek, now for a good day out. I don't think Nick, I don't think I've ever taken you to Leek.
No, you talked about it.
Really,
is that real fire?
It was was it a real fire? I think it was a real fire. I know it might be the sun coming through the windows, to be honest, unless it's on fire.
Yeah, it looks like a fireplace.
And then I say, me and Nick had managed to have a couple of beers back in the hometown. So I had a couple of solo drinks. I think Nick was working late one day. Brass Castle has been ticking over very well. And nice to see, I think, Nick, obviously the summer season starting, a full array of pumps in at Brass Castle. Because at times, when we've been in over the winter, they've only had kind of maybe one kind of IPA, haven't they? And then either Bad Kitty or a version of Bad Kitty. But I think when we've been in the last few weeks, they've had a full array on, including a couple of guests every now and then. And then chapter 2, we've had a couple of nice. They had the Jolly Sailor beers on when we were both
Selby,
based in Selby, which were very, very nice. So some good ones there. And then a pub that again we've probably haven't been in for years. I know, Nick, you've been in a bit more recent, and Bruce.
Yeah.
You were probably in there many moons. I think me and Bruce might have even cycled there last time we went to the Grapes.
It looks fantastic though, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little hidden gem, really. And I know this is the pub in Slingsby, which is one of the street villages in between Malton and Hovingham, Hemsley kind of road. It was closed for quite a long time. A couple have taken it over about a few years ago now, I think, probably 4 or 5 years ago now, but done really, really well. They've got a fantastic beer garden out the back there, and a bit of a big drinking tent and things, which again I assume did them very well over COVID, etc. Inside, though, it's an absolute treasure of breweryania, particularly Guinness. So Nick quite likes it, and to me, Nick, we've discussed it. It all looks fairly authentic, doesn't it? Because you do get a lot of
the landlord collects it. So I've not chatted with him before, but I've chatted with the other staff. I like it there because he's got a nice collection.
Slight downer was in every villagey pub that I went into over my couple of weekends and plus in Yorkshire, virtually every pub had Figs and Spez Bitter, Timothy's Landlord, and Ossett Yorkshire Blonde. So I don't know whether that's just the staple, but I must have been in 4 pubs between where's the Mountsman place? Kilburn,
Yeah.
Slingsby, Weststoke, they all had Thickson's Best Bitter, Ossett Blonde, and then either a landlord or something else on. So, but no, certainly worth looking into Slingsby. Two big caravan sites there, and I thought the shop shut. So really good. And then just very quickly, I got myself up to York the other week, and after I don't know how many years, probably 5, 6, 7 years of being a punk, I think what they call them now, equity punk, an EPQ or something, which I will just say I did buy before all the shenanigans with our friends at Brewdog, or the one friend at Brewdog, and I managed to get not one
Incel
but two,
brewery. The
yeah,
Incel brewery.
one but two free pints out of them. So I felt slightly more humble, including quite a nice pint of Clockwork Tangerine Session IPA, which is very nice. So yeah, Brewdog. Actually, when you sit outside their brews, it's in a wonderful place, isn't it? Near the Micklegate Gate. There's some fantastic bloody penthouses going up across the road, which slightly deterred it because it was quite noisy. But this was what, Thursday after, this was Maundy Thursday. And I was there in the afternoon, and it was pretty dead, I've got to say. There wasn't many folks in there.
It's amazing how they got up there. They were so arrogant. They thought, oh, people come to us, but they don't. And
Yeah,
I can't. I mean, it's always dead. And that one, I mean, the open when Brigance was open. But I suppose they've got two very cheap pubs nearby. Again, they've Spoons. They've got the Harry Hotspur across the road. They've got the Turning Point on the Falcons. They've got some proper craft beer. The Falcons now owned by Turning Point.
yeah.
So really, why do you go to the old incel pub? I mean, I know we're joking about it, but it's becoming a massive issue for them, isn't it? They've acquired this reputation now, apparently. A lot of people in London are saying that it's for blokes who never held a girl's hand and stuff like that. And it's really beginning to stick, and they're getting very touchy about it, which is wonderful. Horrible company.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Anyway, I'm going to go back to BE News in a way, because we mentioned at the start of the thing, and we're back to our theme now, in that the Telegraph again. I don't know. It's nice in a way, in that at least, pubs and beer is becoming more mainstream. But again, it does feel like quite a bit of lazy journalism. So there was a big article in the Telegraph travel supplement on one of the weekend, on Saturday or Sunday, the Telegraph's best railway station pubs. And I don't think you've seen this. I think, Bruce, you have. But that was their.
I've seen a variation of it. If it wasn't this one, no, I think I have. Yeah,
that was their 10, and I think at least 3 of these pubs are not actually on stations or anywhere near stations. They're kind of 5 minutes walk away from a station, which I'm not quite sure makes it a railway station pub. But anyway, for those who are not on YouTube, their number one choice was Sheffield Tap. I go with that. I don't think it's the best tap in the country, but it's okay. York Tap was number 2. York Tap is definitely not the second best railway pub in the country. I mean, I always drink in York. Whenever I go to York, I always have a drink in it, but it's not great. Stilly Bridge Buffet Bar definitely should be.
That should have been number 1. That should have been number 1.
Victoria in Derby, which is across the road, and that's stretching it slightly. And of course, there's an even better pub, the Brunswick, which is just the same distance. Much better pub than the Victoria.
Do they still serve beer from the jug in the Brunswick?
No, they did last time I was in there. If you ask for it, I'm sure they'd do it.
Last time I went there, you were at university at Loughborough, and they were serving beer from the jugs. So.
The Parsley out of King's Cross, again, I can accept that, but it's not the best 5th pub in the railway pub in the country.
No.
The Great Western in Wolverhampton, which again is actually not on the station. The Head of Steam in Huddersfield, again, which is a bit, a bit dreary in it, a bit of a kind of big space.
It is.
Codswell Station pub in Staffordshire, which is quite nice, and a place I've been to. The Pelt Trader, which is actually underneath Cannon Street Station in London, so it's not technically a railway pub, and the Whistle Stop in Grantham, which I would say is that if I was going to visit any of these, I would probably head for the Whistle Stop in Grantham, because it looks a rather nice pub. What they did at least do is they did make a link to Rail Smart, who actually do a very good little guide to station pubs. It's not up to date because there are 1 or 2 pubs missing, but at least it's a starting point there. And they do a nice little map, and not only do that, but they give you the average cost for pint, which I thought was really, really nice as well. So the said Grantham Whistle Stop, they charge around £3.80 a pint. Whereas, for example, the Whitby station, in Whitby, they've got the Station Inn down, which again is a bit of a thing because there's a bloody pub on the station at Whitby. It's £4.10. York Tap, they've got down as £4.10. Liverpool Lime Street, they've got the North Western down at £2.26. But again, the Northwestern's not actually on the station. Anyway, we divert.
No, isn't that the Wetherspoons? Isn't that the one that's on the first
No, that's
story?
the Hamilton Hall. Hamilton Hall.
right.
So, anyway, gents, I came up with our own from where we've been and what we've talked about. So I think, and I'm not quite sure, but I haven't numbered them here. But I've got us down. I've got the Dressman at Donny, which we went to about a month ago. That's a cracky one, and that really is on the station. Bod at Stowe, which again I don't think either of you have been to. Nick, have you been?
Yeah, I've been to that one.
Yeah,
yeah.
Which is it's on the station. It's the old first class waiting room. It's great. The waiting room at Whitby we've talked about many times, which again is the old waiting room. Dewsbury refreshment rooms, which is about
that's
halfway
high up there.
Yeah, on the Real Ale Trail. Harrogate Tap is really nice, isn't it? And that again is on the station. Can't really miss it. The Track and Sleeper or the Mitre at Nesborough, you've got a choice of two, which didn't get anywhere near the Telegraph's list, and yet you've actually got two pubs on the station there, haven't you? Centurion Newcastle Brews, which I knew you lament about in great awe, with its tapestries and good ale. Again, another cracking pub on the station is the Yehan Orasath in Aberystwyth, which is a fantastic actually build of a Wetherspoons on it. I mentioned the stationing, which is on Porthmadog's real big railway, or Spooners, which is on the little railway in Porthmadog. We've mentioned the Betchamin Arms or the Barrel Vault in St Pancras, both which are really, really good pubs. The Euston Tap, which again, technically is not on the station, but it's on the station approach. And of course, me and Nick were in the Wetherspoons on the concourse, the best named Wetherspoons in the country, in Leeds. So I don't know if there are any more gents that spring to mind.
I suppose, to be honest, the Hamilton Hall, it's through the entrance of Liverpool Street, but it's part of the station. And I suppose if you're being honest about it, it's absolutely stunning inside. That deserves to be on any list of fantastic railway station pubs. I mean, it's just breathtaking. Think we're in the Wetherspoons. Quite incredible, the attention to detail on that. I think you'd have to include that list there, wouldn't you, really? Yeah, I think the Draftsman at Donny is pretty fantastic, isn't it?
Just a bit small.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So these are the two which I thought would be worth us trying to check out, actually. So you've got the one on the left is the one they mentioned, Codsall. It's a Holden's pub. It's in the kind of West Codsall, kind of on the edge of Wolverhampton, and that looks a really cracking other place. And the other one was the Mallard in Worksop, which again looks again it's part of the old station building. And again, looks quite an intriguing little place inside, a bit like I thought a Sotheby's bar of old in the picture there.
Yes,
I suppose you should add to that list, Mike, the one at Bridlington. Do we know what's happening with it? Because
I didn't put that one
Thornbridge
on.
bought that one, didn't they?
No, it wasn't Thornbridge. It was Brass Castle had brought it, hadn't they?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Brass Castle.
They were planning. I think they were planning challenges. There was some dispute.
Yeah,
I think Brass
Castle wanted to open it up and
2 bars.
Yeah.
They wanted to open 2 bars, didn't they? And they said you've got to retain one as a tea bar and one as an alcohol bar. And I don't think they like that idea. So, yeah, it's still to be.
That's right. Yeah.
Right, gents. We've got 5 minutes left, so I think Bruce will probably whack through your bit. So we shall stop Tui here. So as you've probably picked up, Bruce works for we won't name them, a very well known rail franchise which we the taxpayers run. So as part of that, Bruce gets basically wherever he wants to go on the railway, off he goes, and we pick the bill up as taxpayers. Anyway, but Bruce, so it does mean that you've been able to travel far and wide,
it does.
And it means you've had a few hours left in places where you've ended up. So come on, I think the first few are London, and these again were all brand new for me. I know I think you mentioned the Market Porter, haven't you, which I think you visited.
Yeah, Market Porter. Stunning pub. I mean, I've not been to Borough Market until Christmas Eve because you think it's to be ran with people. It was Christmas Eve. We've been back since. Stunning. It has been probably the finest food market, I would say, in the world I've ever been to. Certainly much better than the one in Boqueria in Barcelona, since that's been to a tourist. The produce, the trade, the food there, the amount of stuff, it is absolutely fantastic. Have you both been, yeah?
No.
Borough Market?
I think so. Yeah.
It's pretty incredible stuff there. Still not convinced by those ginger peak sausage rolls though. But having said that, we did have a pub went there was the Market Porter. Again, a lot bigger inside than you think. Wooden floorboards, real traditional bar. About 10 cask ales on though. They're not outrageously expensive. Great mix of people going in there, people visiting the market, locals from the offices, obviously tourists, real locals pub. Quite a few pubs around Borough Market. I intend to visit some more really. This was only about time to go to that day, but I would definitely recommend it. Typical London street corner pub, but on a big scale. And I say I've not been down there at night now, but if you're going down there, it'd be a fantastic place to stay around Borough Market. You've got all the little alleys, you've got to Clink Street there, you could be by the side of the Thames in 2 minutes, and a huge selection of pubs. So we'll definitely go there again. But yeah, Market Porter was excellent. Could thoroughly recommend that one.
And again, it's kind of clear the theme is that last doors at 8:30 a.m., but I presume it then reopens in later on in the day, does it? Because it actually,
Yeah, I
it's one of
think that one is that was I think they stay right open now, really. I mean, I think this is probably a sign from the days of that's come from Billingsgate or Smithfield, because they do close at that time, don't they?
we had an
Uh,
early opening order, which because
Really
of the
opening one,
market,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, this one, I think it stays open now. And they've kept the sign there for all time's sake. But speaking of Billingsgate, I mean, I did go by the other day. I went on the DLR, went by it. I didn't realise where it was till the other day. And apparently there are a couple of pubs tucked away in Billingsgate, and you can go and have like a pint and a couple of scallops for really. They look absolutely bonkers. So I think we should try and put that on our list of things to do. Yes.
Well, the one I remember was there was a pub across the road from the Mount Pleasant sorting office because I used to stop at a hotel just across the road from there. I can't remember the name of the pub. It was a good pub. It was a really, I think, it might have been one of the London brewery, one of those London brewery Youngs maybe, and that had an early license because obviously the night shift came off the post office. And I can kind of remember watching the Lions play rugby in there, and that was one of those by about 8 o'clock in the morning. We'd all had about 5 or 6 pints already watching the
Which is mad, isn't it?
which is
And
very
actually, that article was only from April, so it must close and reopen. You're right, yeah.
yeah. So cool then, Bruce. There's a couple more now. You've mentioned the ginger pig sausage rolls, which you're not so clear about.
No, I mean £6.50. And to be fair, I have to say they are very big. There's a line alone, and to see a line of people queue for sausage rolls was quite heartwarming. I suspect I was too greedy. I ate it when it was too warm. It was still very greasy. I think if I could have bided my time, give it an hour, it could have been a lot better. So I'll say we'll reserve judgment on the ginger pig. And the trouble is that with Borough Market, like a lot of London now, there's not a great deal of English old-fashioned food to consume, really. You can get food from all around the world, but if you're looking for an Eccles cake, you're out of luck, really. I was remember Lexi Sales' old joke. Do you remember he said it was easier to find a crack cocaine than an Eccles cake on the streets of London, so it's no good for Northerners. Does feel a bit does feel a bit like that in Borough Market now. So good congrats to Ginger Pigs for doing it. But yeah, I've got the Breaded Bakery there doing amazing stuff. I think, kind of said, you do wonder about it. Think, is it overhyped? But it is a stunning place. And I said, you did mention as well, they did actually have a couple of porters on in the Market Porter. And so the bee was great, and they also have Harvey's Sussex Best on, which is
Right.
always to be
Let's just
commended.
pause there with Bruce condemning the ginger pig sausage rolls at £6.50 a pop, and he ate it too quickly. We'll have a pause there, gentlemen, and we'll come back for part two, and Bruce can carry on regaling us with his trips on the East Coast Main Line.
Hey, come on, put me in the meeting, will you? I'll log me into the meeting.